The people who watch my series on the Hermitcraft server, you will recognize this thing right here. This is a project that I've been working on over the past couple of weeks. It's my single witch hut, witch farm, with a perimeter around the outside to make sure that nothing else can spawn. So this thing is pretty efficient. It produces around about 4,000 items per hour, which for me is more than enough. But for a certain group of people in the Minecraft community, that is nowhere near enough. And those are the members of the SciCraft server. For those of you who don't know who they are, these people are extreme technical Minecrafters. These are people that are focused on automating everything to the 9th degree. They just want everything to be as efficient and as perfect as possible, and I'm a mega fan of everything that they're doing, and they have invited me to hop on and check out some of their builds, and I have to say I'm super excited, so let's pop on through. Oh, and you should totally prepare for my witch farm to now look utterly pathetic. In fact, I'm embarrassed to even call it a witch farm now.
Alright, so it's 500,000 blocks to place, but it actually did it in one day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, how many maps is this? That's
25.
25.
640 by 640 blocks. It's about 420,000, I think.
wow.
Quick math.
And you had to color code all of this, write out everything. I mean, I'm assuming it's not to scale, but they're kind of suggestions as to where things are.
Yeah, so we kind of got the city area in the middle is just all the closer farms.
Yep.
And some of the destinations are up to almost 10,000 blocks away. But yeah, this is not to scale. It's just like a subway map to indicate where everything is.
This is absolutely beautiful.
And every line you see here is a piston bolt here in the network in the nether, and then of course in the overworld it's 10,000 times 8 away, so even more.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that's pretty serious.
All right. So let's finally look at the first witch farms, because we had to rebuild things a little bit.
Yep.
So yeah, things changed. Some people who might remember the old server tours knew there was multiple versions of rooms around the portal here, but this is actually still our quad witch perimeter, just that things got changed quite a bit.
Whoa.
So
this is making my eyes go a bit funny in terms of like, it's difficult to judge scale right now.
Yep.
Because everything's so massive.
I mean, if you want to take a sense of scale, you can always fly out a little bit. You do put your armor on. Lucky that there's slime at the bottom.
I was about to say.
I didn't plan that. Totally not.
That's amazing.
See, we come prepared.
I'm very happy that you slimed the entire area just for me. Just in case.
It's actually not for you.
I know. That's still
it's
super
just
cool.
lag proving. So
okay, I think mob switch should be off. I'm waiting 5 more seconds and then log out, and then we can start the farms.
This is one of the witch farms. I mean, for my baby little witch farm that I'm building on the Hermitcraft server, I'm using this exact design, if I remember correctly, if I'm just looking at it. But yeah, or at least very, very similar to it. So yeah, I'm familiar with that one. But obviously, I've only done 1, whereas you guys have got 4 in an enormous...
and a few more. Be prepared.
Well, we got 4 of them here. So yeah, this is our old quad witch perimeter, which was originally a reason to choose the seed.
Yep.
So maybe we should also head down. Maybe someone in the meantime can turn on the farms.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I mean, how
So
many
we can see
blocks is this perimeter roughly? I just out of interest.
About 5 million blocks.
5 million. Okay.
Yeah, this was actually a hand dug 4 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
You 5
Completely
million blocks by
pickaxes.
hand.
I mean, that's actually not that much in terms of perimeter volume. Yeah.
What? I'm seeing a lot of witches. I'm in spectator mode now, and I'm seeing a lot of witches drop out the bottom already. And so there's 4 of these. I mean, how many items an hour are you getting from these things?
One is about 6,200 at max, and these are about 6,100
Wow. Okay.
items.
That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of items. And where
Not
do you store
really.
this
It's
stuff?
one of the
And
slowest
that's one of
farms,
the 12.
actually. That's the reason why we built more of them.
So wait, so this is one of the slowest farms, you say?
Yes,
Yeah.
witch farms are super slow because there are so few spawning spaces. I mean,
Right.
it's only those 4 huts here, and quad perimeters, pretty rare. We even choose the seed, as we said.
Yep.
So yeah, the farms were way too slow for our redstone needs, and that's why we built all the stuff we show today on the server tour.
Yeah, and also one of these produces only about 775 redstone an hour, which is not enough for us.
So you need more than that. So you're actually using more than 775 redstone an hour on the. This is like the miles per, when you're buying a car, it's like the miles per gallon. You're talking redstone per hour on the Psycraft server, and this was just it wasn't providing enough.
Maybe to put it into perspective, we had some form of quad witch farms for 4 years now, and we ran them for easily over 500 hours. But currently we are out of redstone dust.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we need like probably 500,000 redstone just like to craft things in the near future.
What? I can't even fathom these numbers. These numbers are totally ridiculous to me. Anyway, now that the Psycraft members had showed me their slowest witch farm, it was now time to take a look at the project that they actually wanted to show me today, which was their server-wide project of interconnecting over 20 witch farms. Yes, 20.
As you said, we're out of redstone dust, so one quad witch hut just doesn't cut it. We're constantly running low and had issues getting enough redstone dust. That's why we decided to add more witch huts. And obviously we only have one witch hut on this seed or map.
Yep.
The next best thing would be a triple witch hut, which the nearest one was over 1 million blocks away, so it wasn't feasible to go there.
Yep.
And that's why we decided to use the double witch huts, which you usually find around every 10,000 blocks in a normal world. And we added a lot of double witch huts additionally to the quad witch hut. And if you here on the map you can see it, the witch huts icons always indicate one double witch hut, and in total we have 20 now. You can also, next thing you can travel to each of those locations. Check it out.
Now, 2 things. To get around on the Psycraft server, you use piston bolts pretty much exclusively, and they're so much fun to ride on. Also, while I was riding this piston bolt, I asked them if they'd be disgusted at the thought of building a single witch farm, and they essentially laughed and said that it's good enough for a single player world. I'm so embarrassed. I thought my witch farm was good. And this will take me to the witch farm, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just realised I asked that after I jumped into it, which could have been bad. I love the sign that you guys have created as well. That's very, very cool.
That's Jamin.
How did they do that? Is that just you kind of take an image that you've created in Photoshop or something, then use a program and then just place it block by block? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
So
this is of course a double perimeter only.
Yep.
As I mentioned before, well, the portal is in one of the farms, and you might actually notice there's quite a big tower built around each of these farms.
Yep.
Which seems a bit unnecessary. And if we also fly somewhere to the side of this huge pad here that everything's built on.
Yep.
You can't jump on that one.
Okay. Yeah. Let's not do that.
Yep.
Yeah, you can also show the edges of the perimeter to show how low down we are.
Yeah, so of course we bombed everything here with World Eaters.
Down to bedrock.
Yep.
Basically to bedrock, exactly. And then actually refilled it again using a large cobble generator with flying machines to push everything in order to fill essentially the first sub-chunk.
Now, the reason that they do this is to essentially prevent lag. And if you want a more in-depth explanation, I suggest checking out their video.
I would like to mention 2 things about this perimeter as well. First of all, this one is bigger than the last one.
I did notice, yeah.
You might have noticed.
This one is about 16 million blocks in volume.
16 million?
Yep.
And I mean, that is... Yeah, this is a ridiculous...
It's basically a full render distance. As far as the server renders chunks, we removed everything. 528 with 528 blocks.
And
down to bedrock.
And so was this automated by flying machines, or was this by hand as well?
Mm-hmm.
By flying machines,
okay.
Of course.
Thank
We
goodness.
used
Similar to
TNT tubing, TNT tubing machines that you also used on your episode, I think.
Yep. Yeah,
flying over, bombing stuff down, and then we also have sweepers at the bottom that get rid of the liquids that pop up, so the TNT can destroy the blocks below liquids as well. And that way it's mostly automated. There are of course some obsidian blocks here and there that we have to remove by hand, but everything else, the machine does everything else.
And how long did
Yep.
that take? So in terms of just sheer machines moving time.
In the beginning, we made the perimeter in 36 hours to remove everything. But yeah, we got better over time, and now we got the time down to 8 hours to make one of those complete perimeters.
8 hours? That's not even bad.
8 hours, yeah. But we had a group of 10 to 15 people working on it. But in 8 hours, we got from normal terrain to everything bombed out.
And so, are you just getting much better at building the flying machines? Is that it, or is the
Yeah, and we are also improving the
design.
flying machines.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first time we did this, we used a really slow world eater. That
Yep.
world eater took almost, I think, 12 hours or something to finish.
Right.
Because it was really slow, really laggy,
Yep.
and we didn't optimize it at all. But
Okay.
then over time we just built better and better versions, iterative improvement, and at the moment I think the world eater takes something like 6 hours, a bit more to finish.
That's amazing.
I think our current record for doing everything, so bombing out the whole area, building the whole stone generation, all the witch farms, doing literally everything you see right now here was 11 and a half hours? No, 14.
14
14.
hours. That is so bonkers that you guys can manage to do that within 14 hours. I mean, that's crazy. Because, I mean, I hate to keep bringing up because it almost seems sad to bring up my little witch hut that I'm building on the Hermitcraft server when I'm standing here, because it doesn't look anywhere near as impressive as this. But like me and Grian were totting up the amount of time that I'd spent so far on the witch hut, and it came to like 36 hours or something ridiculous like that. And that's for a single witch hut with a much smaller perimeter of only 1.2 million blocks. So you've done 16 times the amount of space, and also completely flattened it, and also built the entire witch hut, and also surrounded them in stone, and covered the entire area in carpet, and you've managed to do that in 14 hours, and that's so impressive. But, as we mentioned while we were over at the train station map in the Nether Hub, this isn't the only witch farm that they've constructed. There's an entire network of them. So it was time to check out all of the other designs that they had. Now, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of montage this because a lot of the designs are really quite similar. All of them are built in a similar fashion in that you have the 2 witch huts and then you have these gigantic 16 million block perimeters. 16 million blocks! I mean, it's totally ridiculous to even say that. Once again, to bring it back to my little Hermitcraft witch hut, that's a 1.2 million block perimeter, and I thought that was impressive. Coming on here, it's completely ruined it for me. The thing that I especially like about these things is how much consideration has been taken to make them lag friendly. Obviously all of the bottom sub chunks have been filled, all of those stone blocks have been filled in around the witch farm as well to prevent lag, and every single possible consideration that could possibly be made to reduce lag has been made so that they can run farms like this on the server without causing any issues. I just love seeing Minecraft engineering like this. I mean, it's so cool to witness, and I feel so privileged to have been able to pop on and actually see these contraptions in person. But now that you've seen the farms, I'm sure the question that all of you are asking is, where do all of the items actually go? Where do they get stored? And the answer is, they get stored centrally. This is where things get really interesting. And so where are the items? So the items are landing on the soul sand, which is covered in buttons, and then they're all going down, I guess, into these... What are these things?
Yeah, item
Sorters. So there's a combined item sorter and shulker box filler.
Right, okay.
So since we have we do shulker boxes on the server, so we have a kind of unlimited amount of them.
Yep.
We store everything in shulker boxes because it makes it easier to transport.
Absolutely.
But as you can see, there's no storage here. So everything is just getting stored in those shulker boxes, which are then broken and fall down into the water stream once filled up.
And
so maybe if we follow that water stream.
They just go into the nether by the looks of things.
Yep. So yeah, we've been spending quite some time traveling to all of those destinations. It would be way too tedious if you ever need items just to go here.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's why we actually have a central witch farm storage. Yeah, maybe if we go through the portal next, can see how we transport the shulker box then through the nether dimension. We should actually mention that we don't send every single box through the nether. So maybe if you look at the redstone system here, we fill up a complete chest.
Yep.
So this is under the quartz there. Once it's completely filled up, then we send a batch into the portal, so we don't activate the whole transportation system for each shulker box each time.
Right, that makes sense. Oh yeah, because that would be pretty laggy, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So every about 10 hours it takes until the double chests fill up, we send a batch through.
And then, so what
Okay,
on earth
let's
is
go to
this thing?
This is the room is just for dug out because then we can see the redstone.
Yep.
The redstone is mostly for chunk load. So we chunk load the area. So every chunk that you want to process entities in has to have a 5x5 area of chunks around it loaded.
Right.
So in order for the boxes to get picked up, because they obviously arrive as items
Yep.
from the nether portal, we have to load a 5x5 around them. And
Okay.
then they get picked up by this hopper minecart and get transported into this dropper line here.
That makes sense. And this dropper line, is this a super fast dropper line by the looks
It's a
of things?
10 meters per second dropper line.
100 meters per second.
100 meters, of
80,
course.
80.
Oh, 80, sorry.
Basically, we could build a instant dropper line all the way to around spawn from here,
Yep.
but then we would need to load all the chunks at once, and that would cause lag spikes.
Yep, of
So
course.
we slowly load the chunks along the dropper line and just get them through in 80
Yeah, and
blocks
since
per
the
second.
dropper lines are thousands of blocks long, the end of the start of the dropper line can already start unloading, while it's actually still has items in it that are traveling through it. It's much more efficient to not do it instantly.
Maybe don't go too far down the dropper line because it goes all the way up to spawn and we're like,
We could actually just follow the dropper line in spectator mode to see
just
the
fly
scale of
through.
it.
Sorry, I started flying down there because
Yeah,
I
it's
was
okay,
just
man.
curious.
Just continue.
We've almost all made it back. Some people are still struggling. So we're very close here to our nether hub. And yeah, well, here's our central storage. Obviously it's not here in the nether, but yeah, our nether hub, actually you can just slightly see it up there. But yeah,
Right.
that's where all the shulker boxes then go when they come through the nether.
Right.
So here's just the dropper line coming in and, well, chunk loading grid around it. And then we shoot it into a portal.
Yep.
And I suggest we head to the other side and take a look at that.
This chunk loading grid not only turns on the storage, we also, because of the way Minecraft works in 1.12, we also have to make sure that the chunk loading grid doesn't unload in order to not break the redstone on top.
Right.
That's why in the northeast corner, you can also see an instant line going towards the server spawn, activating a perma loader. So we actually got another line here just to make sure that the chunk loading line doesn't break over 3,000 blocks, basically saving the system from crashing.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we got a bit of mob spawning. Just
Oh,
one
yeah.
mention
We
there.
don't have a
turned
mob
it off.
switch on.
Yeah, just turned it on again.
For anyone who doesn't know what a mob switch is essentially a bunch of mobs that are in the lazy chunks of the spawn chunks, and when you load them up, it stops all mobs spawning in the world. So they're used to playing in a world that doesn't have any mobs on, but when the mob switch is off, obviously things start to spawn and they freak out.
so
Okay.
if,
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks
that's kind
dangerous.
of really weird. Not having a mob switch is
yeah,
just not
it's
used
really
to
weird.
it.
You get used to mob switches so quickly. It's really good to not have mob spawning.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we got the shulker boxes, in this case incoming through the dropper elevator.
Yep.
And then first we check if we actually got a shulker box. So we try to fill the item into another shulker box. A normal item goes in there. Obviously another shulker box can be put in another shulker box. So all the items that are not a shulker box get sorted out, put in this chest here.
Right.
And then we also have further control if the shulker box is completely filled up, because sometimes when you build a new storage, a hopper lands in a system or whatnot.
Yep.
So then we also check if the shulker box is completely filled up for signal string 15. If not, it also gets put in the box in there.
Yep.
And then finally, if everything is alright, it's put into the storage here.
Yeah.
And we basically got the 7 different item types you get from the witches. But we still need to sort it in. In order to do that, we take one item out of the shulker box,
Yep.
run it over this filter system here.
Mm-hmm.
If the items get picked up by the hopper, then the shulker box, which parallelly also gets put through the dropper system, also gets put into that slot, and the items is put back into the shulker box, and that's how we kind of sort filled shulker boxes in this case.
Right. I mean, and this is your storage on the opposite side.
That's
so-
then the storage on the opposite side, yeah.
Okay, so I can
So-
see that as you mentioned earlier on, the redstone is currently empty, but glowstone is. I mean, you have a decent amount of glowstone. I think that goes without saying. I mean, when you say
So,
you're out
yeah.
of redstone, apparently there's a few shulkers there. So if there are,
Yeah,
no,
I've been
all
AFKing
empty.
yesterday a little bit.
I
That's
mean,
crazy. So I mean, I like the fact that because for me, I mean, having a few shulker boxes filled with redstone, I'd kind of be alright with that. I'd feel pretty confident. Whereas you guys forget that you have a few shulker boxes of redstone lying around, and you need to have a full storage system to be happy. And how many
Once
items
when I
is this
cleared
going
up
to
the
store?
server, I picked up like 10 shulker boxes full of redstone blocks that were just left over the server because no one cared about them.
I mean, that's got to be crazy. So with this storage, I mean, it's around about nearly 100,000 items per double chest, isn't it? When they're filled with shulker
Yes.
boxes.
103,000.
So each item type, you can store 5 million here.
Yep, you heard that correct. 5 million redstone dust can be stored in their system. Impressive. Now, where is this storage system? Well, this, I gotta say, made me laugh. My render distance isn't far enough to actually like get the full impression of this thing. This is totally ridiculous. So is the storage? So the storage system is actually in the base of the witch hut, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Wait,
brilliant.
we wasted one witch hut. What is this?
But wait, there's more. The Psycraft guys then found an exploit so powerful and so efficient that even they considered it to be cheaty. This is something that I've got to see. There we go.
Ah, no.
There we go.
There we go.
Look at it.
Wait. What? No. This shouldn't exist in Minecraft. This doesn't make any sense.
I mean, technically mobs spawn every tick, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, and witches can spawn in the overworld anywhere, where it's dark.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is completely normal.
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying that all the time. And no one is listening.
This is
What
not
is this?
completely normal. Could someone explain what exactly is happening here? Because
is how
XCOM, that's your point. Come on, explain it.
XCOM.
Okay, I'll explain it very concisely.
okay.
Notch intended it this way.
Come on.
This is how the game was supposed to be played.
try to
Come on,
explain it
XCOM.
now.
It took 10 years for people to figure it out. I mean, this is what he
Seriously.
intended.
Basically, the
please.
mob spawning
Okay,
is-
I'll simplify.
dependent on random calls. So,
Okay,
okay.
I'll simplify. The gist is that the game needs to figure out where to spawn mobs, but obviously computers aren't fully random. There is a structure to computers, and making a completely random system is impossible. So the thing is, when you use a randomizer in the game, you should keep in mind when you're programming that you shouldn't make it exploitable. And they forgot a line or so and left an exploit in the game. And that is the exploit is that the randomizer can be reset, and you use that reset to create witch huts, for example, and other structures such as mansions and stuff.
Right.
But you can trigger that reset every time you load a chunk, and if you know how the reset behaves, then you can get the same outcome every single game tick. And if you know that if, for example, a specific chunk loads and you get a witch hut to spawn in a specific location, you can just reset that event every single game tick, just like a command block.
And I believe the way that they do this is by loading 18,000 chunks all at once to kind of overload the server and then reset the RNG, although I could be totally wrong there. So, I mean, it's kind of gone over my head. So I think it's safe to say that that was ridiculously impressive. I mean, I loved seeing all of the witch huts. I loved seeing the RNG witch hut as well. I mean, it's totally bonkers seeing what's possible. What is possible in Minecraft if you dedicate the time and also the research into it. I'm completely blown away by everything that I've seen here. And they actually gave me a tour of a lot of the other builds on the server, and they're just as impressive, if not even more impressive. So I'll be piecing those together in some form of world tour video as well. So look forward to watching that one. But anyway, big thank you to the Psycraft guys for giving me a tour. It's much appreciated. Links to all of their details down in the description. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. You're pathetic. You're a pathetic witch farm. I don't even want to see you anymore.